For 3 generations, the Kaneff family has been manufacturing high-end packaging in the United States for companies like Estee Lauder and Ralph Lauren. Howard and Mitchell Kaneff join me today to discuss the ins and outs of doing business with Dad. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Howard, your father started Arkay Packaging over 90 years ago. How did he get into this business?
Well, he was an orphan in Odessa in the Ukraine, and his aunt couldn't take care of him at the age of 9, so he became, he was made into an apprentice in a printing company, and soon after that he left and came to the United States, and then went back to Russia when the Russian Revolution broke out, then came back here because he was disillusioned and started the company. In Russia, they have printing presses, manufacturing all kinds of brochures and booklets and what have you. And what he was in the first 20 years was a printer doing work for AT&T and a number of other McGregor clothes and that type of thing. Then he got involved with Helena Rubinstein, and then it went from there to Elena Fink and Tussie and all the names that are probably forgotten by now. But
when you took over the business, how did you make your mark on it from the start?
Selling. I was handed a briefcase and said, "Go out and sell," and I loved it. I mean, I love people, and Mitchell loves people, and I guess that runs in the family. We relate to our employees, we relate to our customers, and we have long marriages.
Did you always want to join them?
Well, I unfortunately never got a chance to meet my grandfather, but I
Okay.
heard he was an incredible man, and a very generous man, and a very brave man, and a very hardworking man. But watching my dad, I just always wanted to be with him and work with him, and we always had a great relationship. So he spent a lot of his time and hours when I was younger working 6 days a week, so on those days off I found them to be incredibly important and valuable. So he was always a role model from a very early age, and always looked up to him as a mentor.
What was the most important lesson you learned about doing business watching your father?
Oh, I mean, really selling and people. And I think the biggest thing was discipline was one of the greatest gifts he gave me, and empathy. From a very young age, he said, you know, you should really be working on the factory floor. So my first job was at the end of the last process in our operations, which was gluing and putting all the boxes as they came off the glue line onto these skids and these cases and pulling them and bringing in the shipment. And 8 hours a day from 7 o'clock in the morning to 3 in the afternoon, after commuting an hour each way, I got a real opportunity to see what everyone went through. And then over the years, working in every operation throughout the facility. So getting an understanding of the business was an incredibly valuable gift that my dad gave me.
So you got this experience at every level at the company. I know that you officially took over the title of president, I believe, in 1997, but there was a long transition period. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. You know, when you're running a company for 40, 50 years on your own, you're used to doing things on your own. So all of a sudden, here's this kid out of college, you know, with a lot of ideas and different ways of doing things. And, you
didn't want to hand over the reins.
And he did want to hand over the reins, and he did hand over the reins,
yeah,
but emotionally
I kept it emotionally, and gave instructions to people that worked for him. And then there was the confusion as to, who do I work for? Do I work for Mitchell, or do I work for Howard? So we got that cleared up by his firing me. I gave him all
How long did that take?
Well, it took almost 7 years.
Okay.
So we tried.
It wasn't a quick decision.
It wasn't a quick decision, and it was one that, you know, I admired a lot of family businesses. P.C. Richards out on Long Island, I think, is over 100 years old now, and I've read articles about the CEO or the president at the time coming to work at 99 years of age. So I always envisioned, because of my relationship with my father, that he would always just kind of come into the office and we would somehow work it out. But unfortunately, his ego and he's a very strong individual. It was very hard for him to kind of just let go. So my best analogy would be, if you were playing football and you had 2 quarterbacks on the field and your wide receivers are running and your running backs are looking for the ball and we're both saying hot, hot, hike, who has the ball? So it was very confusing.
And in terms of the continuity of a family business, I know that you have sons. Do you envision handing over the reins to them one day?
Well, it's funny. It's one of those things that I dream about because I love my boys so much, and then I would love to work with them because I think they're amazing individuals, and I've already in my mind dreamt about one I think is really good at selling, while the other one is incredibly analytical and is a fantastic math head, so he would probably be wonderful in finance and
so
operations.
CFO, CEO.
Right, so I'm already seeing where
right
they could potentially do it, but really it's up to them. If they want to do something else, then I'll think about what I have to do as the next step in the evolution of the company. We're 92 years now. That would certainly be over the 100-year mark that they would be looking to get into the business. But it'd be wonderful because my dad and I had the opportunity to fly all over the world together, whether it's visiting equipment manufacturers in Germany or clients in France or in England or all over the United States. And those hours on the planes and those hours over dinners, you know, really created lasting memories that I hope to have with my boys someday.
Well, best of luck to you. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
A pleasure.
For FoxBusiness.com, I'm Gabrielle Karol.